So I just got back from watching a Minecraft movie, which was a film that I did not expect to be nearly as good as it was. The musical score was nice, the cinematography was amazing, but what I like to talk about first is the characters. When I saw the first trailer, I thought that these people were going to be the most insufferable characters in all of the history of game to movie adaptations. They all seemed very bland at the time, but that was simply because I didn't know the stories behind them. They all kind of looked like they were designed randomly, which didn't bode well for the film in my eyes. I mean, this guy looks like he picked his outfit by rolling D&D dice. Again, I didn't have enough context at the time for the judgments I made. I misjudged Garrett especially, as he had the most interesting story of them all, including Steve. Introduced as a once highly revered gaming champion of the 80s, he now embodies a washed-up celebrity who is incapable of moving on. It all starts when an eviction notice sends him spiraling down a series of unfortunate events and just plain bad luck. Under the pressure of these events, we see a weaker, more pathetic version of Garrett. Perhaps because of his former glory, Garrett was simply not prepared for his life to ever go south. Even though the unraveling of Garrett's life was undoubtedly due to his own lack of planning ahead, I couldn't help but find myself invested in the story of Garrett. His story strongly relates to the part of the audience who have found themselves chasing after the wrong things in life at some point or another. Garrett desperately clings to the promises of riches and fame when we all know that what he really needs is to firmly ground himself in his reality. Now, Henry was not nearly as fleshed out as Garrett, but he definitely had his moments. He was bullied in school for being different, and when he tried to prove them all wrong, it blew up in his face. Embarrassed and discouraged, Henry starts wondering if this life is even for him. But when crossing the threshold into the overworld, Henry finds a world that appreciates him back, where he's given all the time and resources he wants to unleash his creativity. Throughout his journey, Henry must ponder which life is right for him, because deep down he knows that he can only stay in one of them. When Steve leads everyone to the Woodland Mansion, a very dangerous place, to find a replacement for the Earth Crystal, Henry is warned of the imminent danger of Endermen. He's cautioned against looking one of them in the eyes, but when he comes face to face with an Enderman, he just can't help himself. As he looks into its eyes, Henry is put in sort of a trance, where he sees the Enderman shapeshift sort of into Steve, Garrett, and his sister Natalie. They all echo his innermost insecurities, and it forces him to face them head on in order to defeat the monster. The reason that this scene in particular fascinated me is because Endermen aren't supposed to do that in the game. Obviously, if you've played the game, they don't shift into people you know. And because it does this in the movie, it takes us by surprise, just as it surprises Henry. Not only this, but a feeling of dread overcomes those who have been paying close attention to the film. Because earlier on, Steve mentions that he has only one Eye of Ender. And this implies that he hasn't had the guts to face much more than one Enderman in all of his travels, even as the professional he is. Knowing this bit of context, Henry's fight with such a creature is all the more intense. The film isn't even at its climax, and already we're given this very well thought out trial for one of the most crucial characters in the movie. Although I was stunned by the character growth, One scene in particular had me really questioning the thought process of the writers. When Garrett sacrifices himself so that the others may escape certain death, it's hardly even acknowledged when the characters wake up that their friend just died. They're almost like immediately ready to continue their adventure, as if their companion didn't just sacrifice himself for them and die. This was the perfect time for a period of mourning, and they blew it. They wasted it. I mean, Henry should have said something along the lines of, "He's dead." And in my final moments with him, I lashed out. There should have been a lot of guilt and mourning for this character that they knew so well. But such a thing is never said. Do they really hate him that much? It just strikes me as very out of character for each and every one of them. On a more positive note, I'd like to discuss the movie's humor. It was hysterical from beginning to end. Jack Black's performance was like super energetic, not to mention probably a very large factor in why it was just so funny. My personal favorite scenes were the redstone rail scene and the part where Malgosha's final attempts to stab Steve like 3 times, they just fail miserably because Steve sees it coming. I also completely lost it when the villagers started talking during the mid-credits sequence. Now, for the infamous chicken jockey scene. My family was the only other ones there in the theaters when I went to see it, so it didn't get crazy. No one was kicked out, no popcorn was thrown, no live chickens were held up to the sky. I'd be lying if I said that no part of me wanted to see that, but perhaps it was for the best. After all, it is my pet peeve when retail workers get mixed up in that sort of stuff. As for the accuracy of the movie, it was shockingly faithful to the mechanics of the game. Whoever wrote the film was clearly very well acquainted with Minecraft and how it worked, and that was a pleasant surprise. They knew that fireworks could be used alongside an Elytra for a boost of speed. They knew that ender pearls will teleport you when you throw them. They even knew some things that I didn't know about Minecraft, such as the scene where Steve says he has a creeper farm. I looked that up. It's an exploit you can do in the game to get lots of gunpowder. All in all, a Minecraft movie sets out to be a fun, thoughtful comedy, one that pays an accurate tribute to one of the most well-known modern video games of our time. And that is why I highly recommend it to anyone who's even slightly interested in it. And I can't wait to review the sequel that's currently in production. And with all that being said, see you in the next one. Bye!